Hello, friends. Today I want to cover the gene key that we just finished transiting through, gene key 46. And then later on this week, we will cover the gene key that we've moved into, which is gene key 18, a key that is very near and dear to my heart, as it is my pearl. So it has I have a very intimate relationship with it, I should say. And the 46 gene key equally came on my radar this week as being extremely important. It is the programming partner to the 25, which is my radiance. And so it's been really cool to just cool and shadowy to experiment with what has been coming up this past week and how it has sort of triggered some of the shadows and gifts of my 25. So we'll get into the tension that these two keys hold and we'll get into the 46 now. I do want to say that I hope that this is something that is helpful for you to reflect back on. I know that I don't always get the key to you at the moment that we are going through the transit, but it doesn't mean that you can't reflect and say, okay, well, this came up for me this week, this came up for me this week, and now knowing this information in retrospect, I can see how there is a thread weaving between the gift, the city, and the shadow. Typically, I can see all of it for myself when I reflect back on the week and what happened. So, deep breath. Let's get into the 46. We will be reading today from the Gene Key Bible by Richard Rudd and his city book, which is Dare to be Divine. And so the 46th city is ecstasy, the gift is delight, and the shadow is seriousness. The 46th gene key. Programming partner is the 25th gene key, and it is the ring of matter. And so this is interesting how some of the triggers that might have come up for you this week may have been around your physical vessel and or physical world, the spaces and places that you navigate in. You'll understand more as I read. Okay, so we'll just dive in. I love the story that this one starts with. So this just gives you a general sense of what this key is all about. It says sometimes the best way to describe something is through a story. In fact, this isn't so much a story as a description of an ancient archetype. It centers on a rainmaker, a sorcerer whose unique gifts is to influence local weather patterns and cause rainfall through magical means. In ancient times, and still in many places today, when a region was experiencing an extended drought, the locals would send for the rainmaker. In our story, the rainmaker is a little old man, and when he arrives in the village, he is offered anything he needs. After all, the future lives of the villagers and their families depend on his success. Without rain, the crops will not grow, and there will be nothing to eat. However, the rainmaker says that all he needs is a hut to sleep in and to be left alone for a few days. Knowing well that his every move is being watched by the curious villagers, the old man begins setting up his paraphernalia, whatever it may be, perhaps some strange-looking device or a series of offerings to the appropriate gods. Some rainmakers just disappear into their hut and wait, appearing to do absolutely nothing. After a few days, if the rainmaker is genuine, it will begin to rain. The villagers heap praise upon him and his magical powers. Excuse me. I had a yawn. His reputation grows because wherever he goes, he appears to make it rain. However, despite his far-reaching fame, our rainmaker has a great secret known only to himself. He knows that in truth he has no special powers over the weather. His secret is that he has discovered his true purpose in life. He is a rainmaker, and wherever he goes, it happens to rain. He doesn't make it rain. He is simply attuned to the places where it is about to rain. This is why he doesn't have to do anything other than show up wherever he feels like going. This simple story encapsulates all that is wonderful about the 46 gene key and also contains the quintessence of the true meaning of this whole work. Hidden inside your DNA lies your higher life purpose. And when you find that higher purpose, everything is laid out for you by the spirit of divine grace. The 46 gene key governs your relationship to your physical body. It is part of the codon ring known as the ring of matter. which programs the developmental process of incarnation from the point of conception to the age of 21. Specifically, the 46 gene key relates to your first 7-year cycle in which all your shadow patterns are hotwired into your physical structure, your posture, your breathing patterns, and your relationship to the physical world through touch. It takes a child 7 years to fully incarnate on the physical plane. Certain genes are switched on and other genes are switched off during this period. Thus, all the future patterns of your physical health are laid down in your early years. So let's talk about the repressive nature and the reactive nature. Repressive, again, is a little bit more of those that have an introverted energy or a yin imbalance, overly yin. And then the reactive is overly yang, a little bit more masculine, fiery energy. Oh my God, it's just that time of day. Excuse me. I'll try to maintain my breathing so I don't yawn so much. Frigid is the repressive nature. All repressive natures are in one sense or another frozen. Frigidity here is used not so much in the sexual sense, but in a much broader context to describing the freezing of one's sensuality. These people hide from life out of fear of their own bodies. If you do not like your body, your vital energy turns sour. Such people lose touch with the juiciness of life. You can see this reflected in their lifestyle, clothes, and particularly in their faces, which manifest their fear through a permanently pinched expression. When such people begin to enjoy the beauty of being in their body rather than worrying about what they look like, they realize the inner warmth buried deep within and their whole being begins to thaw. I love that so much. The reactive nature is frivolous. Frivolity is an overreactive reaction to seriousness. These people pretend to really enjoy life, and from the outside, they appear to take nothing seriously. However, if you scratch the surface of such a person, you will soon find that they are in fact highly emotionally reactive and harbor a huge amount of anger. This anger will explode sooner or later because these people have an investment in being seen as lighthearted, laid back, and jovial. When the facade is broken, usually when someone is honest with them, they reveal how deadly serious they actually take life. As a pattern, frivolousness runs away from the truth, and such people usually reflect this in their inner relationships, which are generally short-lived and numerous. I want to cover one other thing here. The formula for a wonderful life is so simple. Tread lightly and don't worry so much. Life will take you where it wants to go. But we humans tend to live in our minds rather than each present moment, and our minds always live within time. We are genetically coded to the over-serious because of the pairing of the 46th shadow with the 25th shadow of constriction, whose repressive expression is ignorance. Ignorance is not bliss, as the saying goes. We only display ignorance when we are too serious about our lives. We do not trust life, but try to take conscious control of the events that happen to us. It is our ignorance of how easy life really is that prevents us from enjoying the fruits of the 46th gift, which is, we will learn, are manifold. So beautiful, right? And thinking about how that seriousness goes hand in hand with the constriction really resonates for me. As I mentioned, having the 25th in a pretty big key, pretty large placement for me, it really made me conscious and aware of how when I become constricted, and constriction usually begins in the breath, I become serious, or it's sort of chicken egg. What comes first, the seriousness or the constriction? They both perpetuate the other to continuing onwards. So let's move to the gift of delight. To escape the low frequency of seriousness, it takes a single simple quality, acceptance. Acceptance, the 25th gift, is the programming partner of the 46th gift of delight. These two gifts grow out of each other. In order to accept something about your life, you first have to come out of your ignorance and own it. Acceptance equals ownership, which leads to delight. Delight is the sense of freedom that emerges from an appreciation of the richness of being alive. This gift is about feeling alive within the realm of matter. When you meet a person whose frequency has risen to the level of their gift, there is always something striking about them. In the case of the 46th gift, They have an unusual ability to let go of the past and surf the present moment. These are the kind of people who never have any worries in life, and this creates a tangible magnetic draw to them. They are mysteriously attractive on a deep physical level, as though life itself is somehow more amplified within them. Above all, they are soft and sensuous. The energy of delight is rooted in a deep sensuousness that comes from being very comfortable in their own bodies. This being comfortable has nothing whatsoever to do with how they look. They could be fat, thin, ugly, or beautiful. It comes from loving life more than anything else in the world. I love that. Oh, I love that. Now, ecstasy, the city. Ecstasy is the highest frequency of the 46 gene key, and it occurs only through the heart. It is, in fact, the true nature of humanity. At this level of consciousness, which is really beyond all levels, the ecstatic realization of your true nature is so strong that it silences your mind the moment that it is no longer needed. You may think it is impossible for a normal person to live in a state of ecstasy and function in the world. Not true at all. Ecstasy is your state whenever your mind comes to a complete rest. In other words, as soon as your mind is required in the world, the ecstatic state fades into the background and your activity moves to the foreground. Then, as soon as your activity is complete, the ecstatic state returns. In this state, your mind is as silent as your life path dictates. So finally, we will read the city from the Dare to Be Divine book by Richard Rudd. And this is a book solely on the cities. It's a beautiful night table book. I love to contemplate my cities and read them here. And Richard really suggests that you spend about 85% of your time focused on the gift in the city. And, the other 15 or 10% of the time focused on the shadow, contemplating it. Eating mangoes. What is ecstasy? Here we can throw away all concepts of failure and success. The spiritual teacher Osho once uttered the profound truth: success has failed. I love that little one-liner. Once you've been very successful in the material world, you begin to realize it has failed you. So you have to let go of more and more or richer and richer and say to yourself, okay, this hasn't worked. I have to do something else. And so you turn inwards. Inwards is the last place to go. We have inherited many of our teachings from the East. We have to remember that. What we now need is a new teaching that is life affirming, a teaching that celebrates life and the body and joy and laughter and dance, and sometimes foolery as well. The 46 gene key reminds us that our body is the temple, so the real work is to build the new Jerusalem inside us. The 46 is also a city of serendipity, of good fortune. You just have to accept these truths of dare to be divine, and your life will be transformed. Master Omra Mikhail Ivano one day made this great statement to the so-called realists. He said, "Even if I am wrong, I prefer my delusion to your reality." There is humor, delight, and fun to be had together. The revelation is not meant to be so serious. If you do the inner work, you will be discovered. The higher frequencies will reveal themselves to you, your thoughts, feelings, and dreams. The fifth line of the 46 gene key is called pronoia, a wonderful word. It is the suspicion that the universe is out to help you. There's great humor in the 46. This humor is well caught in Osho's figure of Zorba, the Buddha. Enlightenment isn't all about buckets of water. Let's not forget why we're here. We're here for the ride. This is again what Osho taught. It's why he bought all those Rolls Royces. Someone once asked him, "How would you rather be enlightened?" He said, "In a Rolls Royce, of course." Whatever you may think of the man, he had a wicked sense of humor. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone, there's great fun to be had here on the material plane. I lived for a year on the island of Maui in Hawaii. This is, well, where the title Eating Mangoes comes in. I had a heavenly time there. You could walk through the Maui forests, and still can, I'm sure, and just pick up mangoes anywhere and eat them. And the ecstasy from eating these mangoes is extraordinary. Anyway, there's this certain place on Maui called Kipahu, and it's a dream of a place. It's a little slice of Eden, where the energy is so exquisite. It's a place forgotten by time. There are places around the world like this, where Eden still persists. So I was hanging out in a beautiful house there with this amazing garden seat. It was a beautiful big wicker seat, and I used to sit naked in the seat. It was so warm in Maui, you could just sit anywhere naked. As I sat there, day after day, I experienced the most exquisite forms of ecstasy as the warm Pacific winds flooded across my naked body. I just felt what it was like to be innocent again, like a child, an eternal child. The place is magical, Kapalu. Even the sound of the world is ecstatic to me. So, anyway, it's nice to share it with you. Don't tell too many people about it. I hope this key has been enlightening for you. I hope you've enjoyed your journey with it. And if you have this in your profile, I hope that this assists you in deepening your contemplation around it. I love you. Have a beautiful evening, morning, day, wherever you are. I pray that it blesses you and that you bless it.